He seemed to her to be simply a poor, handicapped beggar. With her meager fare, she nurtured him every day. But one day, things were different. What was his name? Why did he pick her? And what had he been concealing the whole time? As we explore this tale that is both amazing and heartwarming, sit back and learn. The tale of a destitute girl named Lucy and a crippled beggar that everyone made fun of. Lucy was a young lady, only 25 years of age. In Abuja, she sold food from a little wooden stall on the side of the road. Her booth was constructed from iron sheets and old planks. It was located beneath a large tree where a lot of people would gather to eat. Lucy had little. Although her dress had patches and her shoes were worn out, she kept smiling. She treated everyone well, even when she was exhausted. "Good afternoon, sir," she would tell each customer. "You're welcome." She got up extremely early every morning to prepare yam porridge, rice, and beans. Although her hands were quick, her heart was sluggish with grief. Lucy was an orphan. When she was little, her parents passed away. Her home was a little apartment near her business. Just her and her dreams, with no electricity or running water. As Lucy cleaned her bench one afternoon, her friend Mama Kemi strolled by. "Why are you always smiling when you are struggling just like the rest of us?" Lucy asked Mama Kemi. "Because crying won't bring food to my pot," Lucy replied with a smile. Although Mama Kemi merely chuckled and winked, Lucy never forgot her words. It was accurate. She possessed nothing. However, even if someone couldn't afford to pay, she would still feed them. She was unaware that her life was about to undergo a transformation. Something weird occurred at Lucy's shop every afternoon. The corner of the street would see a crippled beggar emerge. He used his hands to push his aging wheelchair along slowly. On the rocks, the wheels made a harsh noise. Creak, creak, creak. Passers-by would either cover their noses or chuckle. One of the girls replied, "Look at this filthy man again." Bandages covered the man's legs. His pants were ripped at the knees. His face was covered with dust. His eyes were weary. Some people thought he smelled, while others thought he was insane. But Lucy never turned away. She gave him the moniker Big J. Big J strolled his wheelchair up to her business that afternoon while the sun blazed fiercely overhead. "Big J, you're back here again. You didn't eat yesterday," Lucy said quietly as she glanced at him. Big J glanced below. "I haven't eaten in 2 days," he said in a low voice. "I was too weak to come." Lucy glanced at her table. Just half a plate of rice and yam remained. She really wanted to eat that food herself. She took a moment to pause. She then grabbed the dish and set it in front of him without uttering a word. "Here, eat," she said. "Are you giving me your last plate again?" Big J said, gazing at the meal. "I can cook again when I get home," Lucy replied with a smile and a nod. As he took the spoon, his hands trembled. Even though his eyes appeared moist, he didn't weep. He merely lowered his head and began to eat gently. Their behavior attracted attention from passers-by. A woman questioned, "Why do you always give that beggar food, Lucy?" Lucy smiled and said, "Wouldn't I want someone to help me if I were sitting there in a wheelchair?" Big J visited daily, but he never asked for anything aloud. He didn't scream out for anyone. He kept his hands at his side. He made no request for food or cash. He would always sit silently in his wheelchair next to Lucy's wooden store. He usually has his head down. He placed his hands on his knees. His wheelchair seemed like it could collapse at any moment. One of the wheels even tilted to the side, while the others paid no attention to him. Lucy never failed to provide him with a dinner of warm fare. Sometimes it was rice. On occasion, it was yam and beans. She delivered it with a smile. It was a scorching afternoon. Lucy had just finished serving jollof rice to school girls when she glanced up and saw Big J again, sitting silently in his usual place. His legs were still covered with old bandages. He didn't say a word as usual, but his shirt now had more holes. Lucy grinned and ladled the hot jollof rice onto a plate. She went over to him after adding 2 little pieces of meat. "Big J, your food is ready," she said softly. Big J raised his weary eyes gradually, but they softened when he saw Lucy. "You always remember me," he said. Lucy knelt and carefully placed the meal on the stool next to him. "Even if the whole world forgets you, I won't," she replied. Just then, a large white SUV pulled up and parked right in front of her establishment. A man exited the room after the door opened gradually. He was dressed in dark pants and a crisp red shirt. As if someone had just polished them, his shoes appeared to be gleaming. He was tall and muscular, with deep eyes. Lucy rose up abruptly and cleaned her hands on her apron. "Good afternoon, sir," she said. "Good afternoon," the guy responded. However, he wasn't paying attention to her. He was gazing at Big J. The man didn't even blink. He merely fixed his gaze on him for an extended period. Lucy saw something odd, but Big J continued to eat. The man tilted his head as if attempting to recollect something, and he had ceased chewing. "Please give me one plate of jollof rice with meat," he said as he faced her. The food was quickly served and handed to him by Lucy. However, before he took the meal, he gave Big J one last glance. He seemed less certain this time. He got into the car without saying anything, opened the door, and drove away. As usual, Lucy got up early the next day and cleaned her wooden table as well as the front of her food business. She continued to stare down the road as the sun rose. "Big J will roll in any moment now," she murmured. However, several hours went by. No wheelchair, no Big J. Her heart started pounding by midday. She strolled to the side of the store and glanced up and down the street. "Where is he?" she wondered. She inquired to Mama Kemi, the fruit vendor nearby. "Did you see Big J today?" "Andy," Mama Kemi responded with a smile and a wave. "It's possible that that old man crawled to a different street. He has no legs." Lucy approached two girls selling soch water without smiling. "Have you seen the elderly man in the wheelchair?" They shook their heads. She even inquired of the bike man who was parked next to her. "Maybe he's tired of sitting in one place," Big J muttered and spit on the floor. "Did you see him this morning, sir? Perhaps he's left." Lucy sat beside her pot of rice and looked at the empty place where Big J always sat. Her chest felt heavy. She remained focused on that area. There were 2 additional days in the day, but there's still no sign of Big J. Lucy couldn't smile as she used to. Her face was sad while she served customers. She didn't have a strong appetite. The aroma of her delicious jollof rice made her want to puke. Her mind was always on Big J. Did something bad happen to him? She murmured. She was alone in her little room behind the store at night. She stared at the final dish she gave him while holding it. "Big J never misses a day," she stated softly, "even when it rains, even when he's unwell. Why at this moment?" She got up, opened her little window, and gazed out into the gloomy street. Her eyes started to water as a chilly wind entered the room. She wasn't simply concerned. She was afraid. "I felt uneasy." Absolutely incorrect. And she knew deep down that Big J wasn't simply absent. Something had occurred, and it could have been significant and possibly hazardous. The day was the 4th. In her store, Lucy was seated in silence. She was arranging her table and chopping onions as she did every day. As she boiled water for the rice, smoke billowed from the fire. At that moment, a white SUV car pulled up in front of her store. A tall man descended. He had on a bright red hat. His attire appeared to be pricey, and his shoes were polished. He was a stranger to Lucy. He didn't grin. He didn't say hello. He merely approached her table and gave her a white envelope. Lucy was perplexed by it. What is this?" she questioned, clutching the envelope with both hands. The guy didn't respond. "Read it and don't tell anybody," he simply stated. After that, he turned around and entered the automobile. The car sped off before Lucy could speak any further. She glanced to her left. She was correct. There was no one else about. She opened the package with trembling hands. There was only one piece of white paper within. She carefully unfolded the paper. It only said, "Come to Top Royal Hotel by 3 p.m. Don't tell anyone. From a friend." Lucy stood still. Her mouth opened slightly, but she was unable to speak. "Top Royal Hotel," she whispered, her hands trembling. "But I've never been to a hotel before." She glanced at the paper once more. Her heart was pounding. Who sent this? What kind of friend is she? She glanced down the street. She glanced at the paper once more, but the car was gone. Lucy clutched the envelope to her breast. She gazed up at the sky. Although it was overcast, she was certain of one thing. She had to leave. Lucy stood in front of her little business at precisely 2:30 p.m. She shut the wooden door after. Taking a deep breath and inspecting the lock in her hand, she twisted the key twice. "God, please go with me," she said. She hailed a tricycle on the road and told the driver, "Top Royal Hotel." Lucy kept the white envelope in her hand as they traveled through the bustling streets of Abuja. She had a racing heartbeat and no idea who sent the letter. Even as she didn't know what to expect, she felt in her gut that this was no typical day. They arrived at the hotel entrance after a few minutes. Lucy glanced up. The structure had windows that resembled glass and was very high. The front door was large and gleaming, and the walls were spotless. She felt as though everything around her was a dream. The gate was guarded by 2 security guards. One of them was wearing dark glasses. He moved in front of Lucy and stared at her. "Madam, good afternoon. Who are you here to see?" he asked. Lucy opened her mouth slowly. "I got this letter," she said, showing him the document. "I'm instructed to go here. I'm Lucy." The paper was accepted by the guard, who then gave it a glance and grinned. "Lucy, oh, someone is waiting for you inside. You may enter," he said. The glass door opened, and a guy in a black suit stepped out right away. He approached Lucy. He didn't speak a lot. He started walking back inside, saying, "Please, come with me." She trailed him. She kept walking despite her legs feeling shaky. She was guided by the man in black through a long corridor. After that, he paused in front of a tall brown door. "Someone is waiting inside," he said as he turned to her. Lucy's heartbeat grew louder. She glanced at the door. After that, she gave the man a look. "May I enter now?" she inquired. "Yes, simply enter. You're safe," the guy responded with a nod. Lucy took a big breath. She then forced the door open. Her gaze immediately turned to the man in the wheelchair in the center of the room. Her mouth opened as she stood motionless. Her hands began to tremble. "Big J," she said, clutching her chest. But this man didn't resemble the poor man who used to sit next to her shop. His hair was well-groomed. His face was spotless. He had gold buttons on his white shirt. On his wrist, he wore a gleaming timepiece. Though he was still in a wheelchair, it appeared to be different, neat, and polished. He didn't appear fatigued or feeble. He had an air of serenity and strength. "Lucy," he whispered, extending a slow smile to her. "Come in." At first, Lucy was unable to move. She glanced at him once more, her heart racing. "Is this really you, Big J?" she questioned. "Yes, Lucy, it's me," the man replied, looking into her eyes. He gestured towards the chair in front of him. "Please sit," he said kindly. Still in a dreamlike state, Lucy sat down gradually. "My name is not Big J," he said softly. Lucy blinked. "It's not." He said, "My real name is Chief Johnson. I am a billionaire," and then nodded. Lucy folded her hands in her lap and stared at him in disbelief. "A billionaire?" she questioned in a low voice. Chief Johnson nodded. "I do have a lot of firms. I've constructed hospitals, schools, and homes. Over the years, I've made a lot of money," Lucy stated, perplexed. "But why did you pretend to be poor?" Lucy questioned. He smiled once more, but this time his eyes were stern. "I wanted to know what was in people's hearts. People just helping when they believe someone is looking grew tiresome to me. I sought out someone who offers assistance for no other reason than that it's the right thing to do." Tears welled up in Lucy's eyes. "You gave me food," he went on. "You gave it with pleasure. You never requested anything of me. You didn't walk away or make fun of me." He smiled at her warmly. "That's why you're here. I pick 10 individuals each year who demonstrate genuine kindness. I support their path to becoming billionaires, because you have the power to assist others as well." Lucy was still reeling from everything Chief Johnson had told her. Chief Johnson offered a little grin. Then, gradually, he put both hands on the wheelchair's arms. As he did so, Lucy leaned forward and watched. And then he got up. She gave a start. Her mouth dropped. "You can walk?" she questioned in astonishment. Chief Johnson responded by smiling and nodding. "I can walk," he said softly. Lucy continued to stare at him as if she had seen a ghost, leaning back in her chair. "But why have I been in a wheelchair all this while?" she questioned. He responded by staring into her eyes. "I wanted to know if anyone would still care for me. I still sought out people with kind hearts, even when I appeared to be in poor shape." Lucy's lips started trembling. Tears welled up in her eyes, and she spoke softly. "I didn't help you because I wanted anything. I was unaware that you were wealthy. I simply felt it was the best course of action." Johnson, the chief, grinned once more and approached. "I picked you for that very reason," he replied. Chief Johnson gazed at Lucy with kind eyes and remained silent for a moment. After that, he instructed, "Lucy, follow me. I want to take you somewhere." She gave him a surprised glance. "A place? Yes," he replied, grinning. "I want to show you something. It's a portion of what you get as a reward. You have a kind heart, and you and others like you deserve nice things." Lucy rose slowly. "Okay," she replied, her voice subdued and hesitant. Chief Johnson turned and unlocked the door. Lucy followed him. The hallway was silent. Two men in black suits were already waiting outside the entrance. They followed Chief Johnson after nodding at them. Lucy glanced around. Everything still felt like a dream. Her mouth gaped as she walked out. In the parking lot, there were 6 enormous SUVs lined up. They resembled mirrors in terms of their shine. Large men in black suits stood next to each one. Chief Johnson walked straight to the first car. One of the men opened the door for him. Lucy stood still, shocked. Chief Johnson looked back and smiled. "Come in, Lucy." She took a deep breath and slowly entered the car. As soon as the door closed, the other cars followed behind. The convoy of 6 SUVs moved out of the hotel gate like something out of a movie. Lucy sat quietly, her heart beating fast. Where was he taking her? And what was he about to show her? The cars moved slowly through the city. Lucy sat beside Chief Johnson, looking out the window. She saw busy people walking, shops open, buses moving, but her mind was full of questions. Where were they going? After about 45 minutes, the cars turned into a clean, quiet road. The buildings here looked new and fine. Glass walls, shining signboards, fresh paint everywhere. Then the cars stopped. Chief Johnson opened the door and stepped out. A guard quickly opened Lucy's door, too. "Come," Chief Johnson said, smiling. Then her eyes stopped. Right in front of her was a very big and beautiful building. It was not just a shop, it was a multi-millionaire luxury restaurant, the kind of place where only rich people come to eat. It stood alone, wide and tall, with glass windows that stretched from top to bottom. The walls were white and smooth like marble. The doors had shiny gold handles. There were flowers at the entrance. Lucy's mouth opened. She had never seen anything like this in her life. But what shocked her the most was the signboard. It said, "Lucy's Restaurant, home of sweet meals." Lucy took a step back. She looked at the sign again to be sure her eyes were not playing tricks. "Is this real?" she asked in a low voice. Chief Johnson nodded gently. "Yes, it's yours. Mine," she whispered. He reached to his pocket and pulled a bunch of keys, stretched it towards Lucy, and pointed at the door. "Go inside." Lucy collected the keys and walked slowly to the door. Her hands were shaking. She opened it. What she saw inside made her cover her mouth. The floor was shining. The chairs were big and soft. The tables looked like they were made from glass and gold. There were lights on the ceiling that looked like stars. The air smelled fresh. Everything was new and perfect. There was a big kitchen at the back. Inside, she saw gas cookers, clean pots, deep freezers, fridges, and even uniforms for workers. She turned slowly to look at Chief Johnson. Her eyes were full of tears. "You bought all this for me?" Chief Johnson walked in and stood beside her. "Yes," he said softly. "You fed me with your small money when you had nothing. Now I want to give you a place where kings and queens will come to eat. You will never suffer again." Lucy dropped to her knees. Her hands covered her face. She was crying, but they were happy tears. "I don't know what to say," she said. "You don't need to say anything," Chief Johnson replied. "Your kindness already spoke for you." From that day, Lucy became the boss of a big food plaza in Abuja. It was not like her small roadside shop anymore. This place was grand. The floors were shiny. The walls had fine lights. The chairs were soft and clean. Music played softly in the background. People felt peace once they stepped in. She didn't cook anymore. She didn't serve food. Professional cooks handled the kitchen. They wore white coats and hats. Waiters wore fine uniforms and smiled as they served food. Lucy just sat in her office upstairs. Her name was on the door. Her picture was on the wall. Everyone respected her, but even with all the money, comfort, and fame, she never forgot where she came from. She never forgot Big J, and she never forgot how kindness changed her life. One morning, her manager walked into her office. "Madam," she said, "the food truck is ready." Lucy stood up. "Let's go," she said. Outside the restaurant, a big white van was waiting. On the side of the van was a name, Lucy's Food Love, feeding the hungry. Lucy had started a charity. Every week, her food trucks went around the city. They gave free food to poor people under the bridges, near bus stops, around markets. People lined up with smiles. Some had no shoes, some were children, some were old women. Lucy walked to each one and handed them warm food. She said, "Eat well. You are not forgotten." One of her workers whispered, "Madam, why do you do this?" Lucy looked up slowly. She touched her chest softly. "Kindness brought me here, so I must send kindness out again." The worker nodded quietly, and as they all watched the people eat and smile, the sun shone gently on Lucy's face. She looked up at the sky and whispered, "Thank you, Chief Johnson. Thank you for seeing me." Then she turned, walked back to the van, and drove off to feed the next street. Her life had changed forever, but her heart stayed the same. This story teaches us one powerful lesson: kindness is never wasted. You may not have much, but when you give from a pure heart, your reward will find you when you least expect it. What did this story teach you? Please share your thoughts in the comment section below. I would really love to read from you. And guess what? There's another very interesting story coming in a few days. So, make sure you subscribe to my channel and turn on your notification bell so you'll be the first to know when it drops. If you enjoyed this story, please hit the like button and share it with your friends. Someone out there might need to hear it. Thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate your time and support. See you in my next story.